What's up, Knicks fans? You're watching New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. In today's show, I'm going to answer your guys' questions, which came from our live show. So subscribe and turn your notifications on so you can be alerted anytime we go live. And we only pull questions from subscribers like my guy, D. So nice. Hit that big red button. He says, could we be top 15 in offense and defense without Mitchell trade and make the playoffs? Top 15 in offense, I think we could hover around 50. I think we could be right there in the middle of the pack in the NBA in offense and defense. The Knicks last year were a pretty good defensive team. That was with Alec Burks and Evan Fournier as your backcourt. If you can have Jalen Brunson, who's a better defender than either of those guys in your backcourt, I think you'll be better. I think we'll be a way better offensive team. I'm expecting the pace to be brought up a little bit more this year, play a little bit of a faster brand of basketball. And he says, do you think they can make the playoffs? I 100% do. I really think Jalen Brunson is going to prove a lot of people wrong this year and show them that he could be the best player on a team that goes to the playoffs. I mean, he was the second best player on a team that went to the Western Conference Finals, and he was the best player on a team in the first round of the playoffs when Luka Doncic missed 3 games and the Mavs went 2-1 against Donovan Mitchell. So yes to all 3 of your questions. Yes, yes, yes. I think the Knicks can be a playoff team, at the worst, a play-in team with Jalen Brunson. Arrow Man, what up? He says, is Tibbs coaching a negative for Brunson or Donovan's playing styles? This is a really good question. I don't think necessarily Tom Thibodeau's system on offense really fits Jalen Brunson the best. In Dallas, they kind of ran that 5-out offense where the court was spaced, the lane was open, and Brunson could operate in that mid-range to paint area really, really well. That's not going to be what the Knicks do this year. But I do think that the defensive mindset and attitude and swag that Tom Thibodeau brings is going to make Jalen Brunson and or Donovan Mitchell a better basketball player. I mean, if we just had Jalen Brunson and no Donovan Mitchell, Mike D'Antoni as the coach would have Jalen Brunson competing for an all-star spot. But I do think the defensive mindset that Tibbs brings is going to make them better basketball players. Not the best offensive system, but these guys are both hoopers and they'll be able to figure it out. Andrew, who do you want to see the Knicks beat in the finals? If we just get to the finals, I don't care who it's against, my guy. But who would I want him to beat in the Western Conference? Beating the Mavs would be pretty cool. Living in Dallas, I'm just not really a big Mavs fan, and seeing Brunson do it against his old team would be good. Beating the Warriors would be pretty cool. I mean, beating Steph Curry, beating LeBron James and the Lakers. Beating anybody in the finals would be damn cool if you're a New York Knicks fan. Just seeing them in the finals at this point would be badass. But I want to do this on today's show. We've done it a couple of times, but it's always fun. I have a blast going down and reading the comments section. I want you to name a random Knick in the comments section. Patrick Ewing ain't random. Carmelo Anthony ain't random. Allen Houston ain't random. Latrell Sprewell isn't random. But a guy like Chauncey Billups, that's random. So name a random Knick in the comment section for me right now. Irvis says, Julius was 9th in the NBA in defense the playoff year and 19th in his body language here. Randle is a good defender. He just sleeps some plays. I believe when Julius Randle is plugged in defensively, he can be a solid defender. I wouldn't call him an elite defender by any means, but sometimes I think he falls asleep on that side of the floor a little bit too much. Sometimes I question that his effort is all the way there. But he has all the skills and ability to be an elite defender. 6'9", strong as an ox, has quick feet. He should be an elite defender. He's got some short arms, but he's still a good basketball player. If he's on this team come day one, I'm going to root like hell for Julius Randle to be a good basketball player. Third time the charm. Is RJ Barrett or Jalen Brunson all NBA potential? Great question. I think both of those guys possess all NBA potential. I don't know about this year. I think it could be in a couple of years. RJ Barrett's just 22, and Jalen Brunson is just 25 years old. So I don't know if it's this year, maybe in a year, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years. But yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility. I think they both have all NBA potential. I mean, RJ Barrett at the age of 22 and 21 averaged 24 points per game in the second half of the season. So yeah, I do think both of these guys have all NBA potential down the line. Appreciate your question, fam. Next one coming in from NY or Nowhere. How many wins does the rotation of this win? Okay, I like this question. Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes, Barrett, Obi, Mitch, bench, Rose, IQ, Fournier, Melo, Hartenstein. I guess my question would be, where did Julius Randle go and what did you get for him? Maybe you dumped him for Russell Westbrook and you bought him out, but Brunson, Grimes, Barrett, Obi, Mitch, Rose, IQ, Fournier, Melo, Hartenstein. Jericho Sims as well coming off the bench. I think that's a 43, 42, 44 win team. I mean, last year the Knicks won 37 games with Alec Burks and Evan Fournier as their starting backcourt. If you go from Brunson and Grimes to what you had last year, I think that's a much better team. I think Brunson alone raises this team 4 or 5 wins. So I'd say 44, 45 wins, a playoff team and not a play-in team. Great work here, though, by Patrick Seatman, the producer. Las Vegas has set the win total for the New York Knicks at 39.5 wins. Remind you, they won 37 last year with Evan Fournier and Alec Burks as their 1 and 2. 39 wins for the Knicks. Type O for over, type U for under. Predict it. Let me know. More, less, over, under. Let me know what you think. 39 wins for the Knicks. O for over, type U for under. I'm like having to burp a little bit. My God, my abs are hurting. It's probably because I'm working out too much. Just kidding. Eduardo, if we don't land Donovan Mitchell, who would be your next target to sign or trade? Great question. We actually did a video on this a while ago. Future trade targets not named Donovan Mitchell, because at some point, the Knicks will have to consolidate assets. They have 10 players on this roster, less than 25 years old. They have 11 first-round picks and 11 second-round picks in the next 7 years. The Knicks aren't going to make 22 selections. So at some point, they will consolidate young players and picks to go make a trade. A guy not named Donovan Mitchell? What about 2 names here? And it might sound crazy, but let me talk it through it. Let's start with Joel Embiid. What happens if the Philadelphia Sixers once again come up short in the playoffs? And let's say Harden and Embiid butt heads. Could Joel Embiid start to force his way out? I think it's something to monitor. And what about Devin Booker? He's a CAA client. He's a part of the CAA mafia. What about the Phoenix Suns? Have they already tapped out? Once Chris Paul retires, how much better are they going to get? Have they ceilinged out? So I think, it'd be a long shot for either of those guys, no doubt about it. But the next superstar, I don't know. Maybe Booker, maybe Embiid. Maybe someone comes out of nowhere. Maybe it's Anthony Davis. I don't know. But I do believe the Knicks are going to go all in for someone. And when they do, we are going to be breaking it down on this channel, youtube.com/KnicksTV. When the Knicks make a move, we get you guys a video. When rumors come out, we get you guys a video. And sometimes we go live on the channel, most of the times. We're going to start going live once a week for sure. If you love the Knicks and you're looking for a one-stop shop on YouTube that puts out videos every single day on the New York Knicks, we're your channel. Hit that big red button. Ralph, what up, bro? When Randle was playing good, I knew it wasn't for the team. He did it for the extension. He did it his last year in LA and New Orleans. So yeah, after Julius Randle played good and was a guy that was the second-team All-NBA guy, most improved player, top 10 in the MVP. He did get cashed out. And that's any NBA superstar. Heck, that's me at work. If I know I got a big payday coming up, I'm going to give it my all. But it's what you do after the payday that I think really shows you the type of person you are. Do I know if there was something personal in his life? I don't know, so I don't want to dig too deep into it. But Randle was not the same player in 2021, 2022 that he was in the COVID year for sure. I hope he gets back to that. I'm not the biggest fan of Randle. I thought he had a bad attitude last year, bad body language, wasn't a good teammate. But if he's a Knick come game 1, I'm going to be rooting for number 30 to be a damn good basketball player. Last question on this mailbag from John. I think if they trade for Mitchell, I think it will help Randle have a bounce back year and help Brunson for sure. Okay, so I kind of misread that. I'm sorry. I don't see Julius Randle staying on this team if they trade for Donovan Mitchell. You can't have 4 ball-dominant guys that are all best when they're attacking the rim. R.J. Barrett, most effective inside the paint. Jalen Brunson, good three-point shooter, best when he's attacking the paint. Julius Randle, he can make threes, shot 41% in that COVID year. He's best in the mid-range and attacking the basket. R.J. Barrett, the same thing. Also the contract. You don't want to pay $30 million for Randle, $30 million for Mitchell, $28 million for Brunson, and $30 million for R.J. Barrett, and $15 million for Mitchell Robinson. The Knicks want to stay flexible on the cap. So I do think if the Knicks trade for Donovan Mitchell, Julius Randle will be traded in a salary dump. But I do think that if the Knicks don't trade for Donovan Mitchell, that the Knicks and Julius Randle will get better. I think Jalen Brunson will make life easier for a guy like Julius Randle, because that's what good point guards do. They make life easier for everybody else on the roster. But since you asked about a Donovan Mitchell trade, John, I want to ask you guys this question. If you could only pick one of these guys to keep in a Donovan Mitchell trade, who is it? Type 1 for Obi, type 5 for Emmanuel Quickly, type 6 for Quentin Grimes. This will be the real one roll call of today's show. So answer this question so I know that you're a real one.